sometimes make interpretation or make these explanations about God, because they'll admit it or not, if you look at what they do, they're really trying to get away with something. You see, if I can explain God in my understanding, I limit God in some way so that I can do something else about God, instead of just going, oh my God. And that's probably the best place you should be. OMG. You know, between you and God, that is. Because you should get to the place where you realize God means that He's bigger than you are. He's smarter than you are. He can love more than you can. He can do more than you can. As a matter of fact, anything that you think you can do, He can do better. Wow, what a neat idea. God, you know, being bigger, better, smarter, wiser. Matter of fact, you know, I kind of like the idea that Jesus said, maybe I should treat Him as Father, because after all, He does even know my future. Wow, that's kind of neat, you know, I mean, and then He seems to want to do things for me, or do things with me, or do things about me, that all He said was to come unto Him. And I'm going, huh, well, that makes perfect sense. He's smarter than I am, He's wiser than I am, He does more than I can, He's more loving than I am, He's more forgiving than I am. Wow, maybe I ought to be like Him. You know, kind of like what Jesus said. You know, I want to help you to get to know my Father, because I don't say just follow me. I want you to know how much the Father loves you. And so I go, oh, well, that's different. I thought that, you know, based upon what men had told me, that He was the God of the Old Testament, you know, He killed people. Or He was the God of the New Testament, and He wants to send me to hell. Maybe I don't have a complete understanding of God, because people keep telling me things about God. Maybe I should check it out in the horse's mouth. You know, if I want to find out about horses, I go to a horse. First of all, I go look at the horse, kind of check out his teeth, you know, see what kind of teeth he's got. If they're rotten, usually tells me that, you know, the horse has, you know, got some health issues. You know, I check out his hooves to see if he's, you know, got some of the hoof problems, you know. Usually tells me he can't walk so well. I kind of look at his girth, you know, if he's real big around the belly, you know, that's not exactly the best kind of horse for riding. Of course, you could try to spread your legs around it and see how well you can ride and how far. You won't go too many days riding that kind of horse. Trust me, that's a horse that needs to be out in the field, because you ain't going to ride him very long. Or if he's got a swallow back, you know, where his back is just like, ooh, man, I think something's wrong here. That don't look normal to me. And you're right, it's not. And that's what happens lots of times when people tell you about God. They'll tell you all kinds of stories about God. And, you know, it's nice. I listen. It's kind of like a horse dealer. You know, he'll tell me how wonderful a swayback horse is. Oh, it's easier to get on the horse's back. Well, yeah, you're right. It's easier. You won't get thrown off as easy. That's true, too. You know, it's certainly true that, you know, I may not fall off that horse as easy because he's got a big swayback. Of course, I still look at him and go, but there's still something wrong. I'm just not quite sure what it is, you know. And until you've ridden a healthy horse, you know, riding that sick and weak and swayback horse, you may get conned into buying that horse because you've been horse-swoggled. You know, some horse dealer came along and sold you a bad horse. Sometimes that's what happens to God. People come along, you know, and they'll sell you their idea about God. And I don't mean just the money angle, because everybody can go, well, you know, I mean, yeah, on the one hand, he talks a lot about money, but I don't care, because he talks a lot of good stuff, too. It makes me feel good about what I'm doing, you know. Well, you know, that's nice, too. You know, I'm happy for you, you know. But really, don't you think you should be going to God? Don't you think you should be asking God? I mean, if you want to find out about God, you go to God. That just makes perfect sense to me. So if I wanted to be godly, I would ask God how to be godly. And I think God could tell me. Now, some people say, well, you know, God don't speak to me quite like that. Well, if He's given you, He says His Word, I think you could read it. But, you know, that's just me. Maybe you don't want to saddle your horse. Maybe you don't want to put a saddle on there and you want to ride bareback. Go for it. I mean, hey, I use what's easiest for me to understand, you know, so that way I can get a better handle on what I'm doing. Now, once I'm a good horseback rider, then I don't mind riding bareback. It's kind of easier than throwing on a saddle, and having to strap it down and then, kick the horse's ribs, make sure he's not holding his breath, and tighten that up and put a bit in his mouth, make him go where I want him to. I kind of prefer, to get on the horse and just ride. Isn't it fun to let the wind blow in your face, and you're just riding the horse and you can feel the pounding, especially if you ride on a beach and you feel the surf splashing up, Matter of fact, riding a horse bareback scares the living daylights out of me. I got nothing to hang on to. I got to trust. Oh no, I have to have faith that the horse isn't going to throw me. Because if you've ever ridden a Shetland pony, that horse will run smack into a wall just to throw you off it. Trust me, Shetland ponies are mean. But normally when you're riding a horse, you learn a certain amount of trust by a relationship the rider has with the horse. They join together to where they become a team, where a person can actually ride the horse and the horse doesn't mind being ridden. That's kind of what it is with the relationship with God. You need to learn about what God is so that you know who He is. And then you need to learn who He is so you know what He is. Because everybody goes through kind of this learning experience. They start off by going, oh my God. And they walk around with this holy kind of attitude because somebody told them to be holy kind of attitude. But Jesus didn't do that. You see, Jesus went to some unholy people and He told them, look, I understand you want to be holy. I understand that you aren't holy, but I got good news for you. You can be holy just because I'm going to take care of it. Okay, how are you going to do that? Well, you see, you don't really want to know that part. Well, yeah, I do. Well, God, my Father, loves you so much that He's going to do something about your unholiness in order to make you holiness. He's going to put His holiness inside you, but there's only one way He can do it. I got to go and pay the price for it. I got to go and do it for you because you can't do it yourself. And that's why I came, because you can't do for yourself what I can do for you. That's what my Father's been trying to tell you all along. You can't do for yourself what God can do for you. And I like that because it reminds me that I can't do it. You see, I always want to do it. I want to please my Father. I want to do it by myself. I want to prove that I can do it. And then I find out, oh my God, I can't do it. And God says, yeah, I know. I've been trying to tell you all along, you can't do it by yourself. But I can do it for you. I can do it to you, and I can do it with you. I can involve you in what I'm doing so that you can do it. And I kind of like that because, I think of it like, wow, wouldn't that be neat if you had someone that you could go and learn from? If you had someone that you could go and come alongside, get next to him and see what he's doing, kind of participate with him, kind of see how he does things, get alongside him and say, hey, I kind of like this idea of, God is love, but I don't understand how that could be true. So I want you to show me, because every time I hear somebody explain it to me, I don't get it. Sure, I know your son died and blah, 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 but I don't get it. I don't understand this thing you keep saying about love, and how love is this, love is that, patient, kind, I keep looking around and I don't see it so well in the world. And God says, yeah, I know. So come to me. So you see, there's always people that are trying to tell you about God. But the bottom line is, sooner or later, you've got to figure it out. You've got to go to God and go to the horse's mouth, so to speak, and talk to God. You have to, at some point in time, shut up long enough to live up to what God is saying. In other words, you got to listen to what God is saying. Because I can tell you till the cows come home, that you can hear God's voice, and until you actually do it, you won't learn it. Until you actually ask Him, you won't find Him. Until you actually seek to know Him, guess what? You're never going to know Him. Until you go after Him the way He said to, you're still going to be riding Shetland ponies and get thrown every time you run into a wall. And I know, I've ridden a lot of Shetland ponies, and you know what? Every single one of them little suckers bit me, tossed me, threw me, and ran me into mailboxes. Yeah, seriously. Man, that horse would just scrape me off his back every time. They're mean little suckers. Couldn't believe it. My little baby sister even used to ride a Shetland pony, and she'd get off and start beating that horse. Oh well, good thing she was a little tiny girl, otherwise that horse might have hurt. Didn't seem to bother the horse. He just laughed at her. You could say he said, nay. Oh, never mind. Poor joke. But my point is this. Whenever you think you know God, you don't. Because God said it. Look, you can't know me, but as much as I will show you, you can know. So your personal understanding of God is what's going to help you in the way that you should go. God said it an interesting way, a lot of different ways that people talk about in certain spiritual terms like faith and trust, and things that we do anyways in our everyday life with the wrong people. You trust the wrong person, you get burned. You have faith in the wrong thing, you get hurt. You put your confidence in stocks, you get, bankrupted. But that's why God says, I'm not like that. You really have nothing to compare me to. As a matter of fact, the best thing I can tell you is who is likened unto me. And the answer is no one except Jesus. So if we really want to see anything that's likened or similar or really as much as we can understand about God, we have to look at Jesus. Oh, wow. Well, Jesus said and did a lot of things that, wow. Maybe I don't have a handle on this God the Father thing as much as I think I do. Because you see, people will reinvent Jesus even nowadays to try to make him into something he's not. But I can tell you this, in everything that's recorded about him, you have no mistake about what he meant, what he said, and what he did. It is obvious. And that's kind of what I like about God my Father, the way I understand God and I know him today. You see, because I know Jesus and I've been introduced to him and he's talked to me and he's walked with me and he's shown me things and he's led me in certain ways and he's taught me certain things about his word, I begin to understand that I could have a personal relationship with his Father, that I could begin to know my Father and his Father, that we could be one as he prayed we would be one. And so I begin to see in my day that as the sun rises, God said the sun would rise, that as long as the sun would rise and the sun would set, that there would be certain facts about him that would not change. Whoa, really? He said, yeah, if you want to prove that I am trustworthy, look at the sun. Does it rise? Well, yeah, even when there's clouds, I know that the sun rose. Of course, people tell me, but, I pretty much figured that one out after the clouds went away, and they're still there. Well, that's what God said. As long as the stars shine, as long as the sun still rises. There's certain things that are true about me that you can count on. And I thought, wow, that's cool. That means I don't have to, trust in men, which change all the time, Trust in horse dealers, which will sell me a bill of goods. I don't have to trust in promises or things that, seem to be misinterpreted or misused or abused. I can trust in something that's a fact every day. As long as the sun rises, I know that God is there. As long as the stars are in the sky, I know God is there. Interesting that God would use his creation to say, as long as this goes on, you'll know me. Now, there may come a day when he may change the heavens and the earth, but he didn't say that there would be no more heaven and earth. He says there would be a new heaven and a new earth. Interesting, isn't it? That God would use things that we could see every day to be aware that he is real, that he is there. Now my question to you is, if he is so real as the sunrise, and you're not blind to that, why can't you hear his voice? Why can't you stop long enough to listen and talk to God and find out, is he real? Is there a fact that you can put on the table and look at it, demonstrate to yourself, I know that God is real. I know there's a fact of God the Father. I know beyond any shadow of a doubt that God exists. That's really where faith lies. It's not something that's about, well, I just believe because I believe. No, it's a provable fact. It's something you say, hey, I know because the sun rises. I know because there's stars in the sky. I know because of creation. And Romans, in the book of Romans, says that, hey, you can know that there is a Godhead because look at creation. It reveals it. Now, one of the biggest lies that comes along is trying to make something out of nothing. In other words, people try to make some theories like evolution or some other ideas sound good. You know, kind of like the horse dealer. It sounds good, so it might be true. It looks good, so it must be right. Matter of fact, it's something you can see, only you can't see it. You see, when people tell you that there's some kind of like evolving thing going on, you kind of look at it and go, well, that's funny, because, you know, I've been growing plants for I don't know how long now, and every time I put a tomato plant in, I get a tomato plant. You know, as soon as I put a tomato plant in and it grows up like a cat or a dog, I'll begin to believe evolution. But until I, you know, can grow something, you know, different than what the seeds are, somehow I think God is real. I think God is actual. I think God is factual. So when people tell me things, you know, like all kinds of weird ideas that they got about God, I kind of look at them and laugh, and I think, yeah, so you go ahead and put, you know, a seed in the ground and see what you get. Because me, as long as I can see the sunrise, I think I can trust that there is a God. Not because the sun rose, but because God said so. And that's kind of where I have to put my faith in. God said so. People don't like it when I'll bluntly say, well, what did God tell you? And they'll say, well, God doesn't talk to me. I'll say, funny, he does me. What's wrong with you? Oh, well. And I just figure they got to figure it out. Because guess what? God is all about revealing himself. He said in the book of Revelation that this is written that you should know. He said in the book of 1 John that you should know the truth. Jesus said, I have come that you should know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. In other words, I think God has done his part, but I think we're the ones who don't want to know more than we really want to know. Oh, that thou would bless me indeed, and that thou wouldst keep me from evil. And God granted him which he requested. Now, I think that's a good prayer. God, bless me. Yes. Now, you see, some people think, well, that's not a good thing to do. Don't ask God to bless you. You'll deny yourself, take up your cross, follow Jesus. Hey, you know what? If God would bless me, I'm happy to take it. God blesses me every day. I get a chance to look out and see the sunrise. And it reminds me that there is a God. As a matter of fact, yesterday when it was raining, I really doubted if God existed. God, if you love me, you get rid of the rain. And he didn't. So it rained for 3 days. Well, God said, look, if there's a rainbow after the rain, I promise I will not destroy you by water. Oh, okay. So, sure enough, after enough days of being depressed from rain or being washed away some of the things that maybe I built in the wrong places, you know, and that water has come on the world, I know that those guys that maybe suffered from some kind of, you know, wherever they are in the world, you know, that some kind of flood came, the whole world didn't get destroyed because God said it wouldn't. So I can trust him for that. Matter of fact, I think I can trust him because he seems to do what he says. And until he doesn't, then I guess I should trust him rather than trust what I think I see. And you know, that's kind of what I like, because it says that I can ask in this first part. Oh, that thou wouldst bless me indeed, and that thou wouldst keep me from evil. And God granted him that which he requested. Wow, what a neat idea. Or is it just something you never thought of doing? Maybe we should do like God says to do today, and ask God to lead us and to reveal to us who he is. The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. When he gives quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hides his face, who then can behold him? Salvation belongs unto the Lord. Thy blessing is upon thy people. How great is your goodness, which thou hast laid up for them that fear you, when you have wrought for them those that trust in you before the sons of men. How magnificent is your name! I pray not that thou shouldst take them out of the world, but thou shouldst keep them from the evil in the world. Ask, and it shall be given unto you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receives, and he that seeks finds, and to him that knocks it shall be opened. And the Lord redeemeth the soul of his servants, and none of them that trust in him shall be desolate. It's interesting, you know, because I've lived my life based upon that very fact. Hey, I've been poor. God didn't say I wouldn't be poor. I've been blessed. God didn't say I wouldn't be blessed. I've been challenged. God didn't say I wouldn't be challenged. Matter of fact, God said He would never leave me desolate. Well, came close. I've been down there. But you know what? I have based my life upon the experiences of God and being with God, that I can go forward now to God and ask Him for anything that I want. I can seek Him and find in Him everything that I need. I can knock and see that there are doors that He could open that I can't ever approach. And He's done that for me. I've even had where people have told me, if you don't work, you don't eat. And I said, you want to bet? And I've eaten. I've heard people say, well, if you don't get up and do something, God can't do it for you. Want to bet? One of the things that you can't let people do to you is to force you into doing things God has not told you to do. I have sat still and seen the salvation of the Lord. I have sat still and watched God move. I have sat still and watched God bring me a job. I have sat still and watched God bring me food, sustenance, and done those things for me I could not do for myself. That's why I trust God. That's why I seek God. That's why I ask God before I ask anyone else. Now, I'll admit, I like to go see what other people are doing. I like to go ask them. I like to go participate with them. But the bottom line is, if I get up in my day and I start my day without asking God, I'm going my own way. That's obvious. But you see, since this is the day that the Lord has made, I could ask Him what He wants to do today. I could seek Him what He's doing today. And I could kind of like go forward, like knocking or looking for those opportunities that God's going to bring my way, because I've asked Him today to lead me in the way that He wants me to go. Which way are you choosing this day to go? Do you have your own interpretation of God and you're going to go according to your version of God Himself? Your version of Christianity or Jesus? Your interpretation of life and how to live it? God bless you. Go for it. But when you go forward in your day today, when you begin to live your life your way this day, see how it works out for you. Ask God bluntly, just like the beginning, to deliver you from evil or to leave you to the evil of the day. Because sufficient is the day and the evil thereof, Jesus said. So guess what? There's things out there that are going to hit you right between the eyes that you're unprepared for. You have no idea what's coming, and yet God does. So, I don't know about you. I could buy that horse. I could, of course, choose my own way. I could interpret God any way I want to. And God may deal with me in some way, in some perspective, and somehow some things might work out for me in some ways. But when it says that evil part, that must be something I better watch out for. And it seems to be something that God has told me that He could take care of for. And I don't know about you, but I kind of like other people doing things for me. I really like that idea about being blessed. I really like that idea that if the sun is something He created, and the moon and the stars are promises that He created, that He said as long as they're there, that we could know that He's God and that, He's taking care of it. Well then, if it also says that this is the day that the Lord has made, then maybe I should find out today what He has made the day for and why He made it. Because if I'm going forward in my life, if I really want to be blessed and avoid the evil, then maybe I should commit my life to the God who made it, to the God who created it, to the God who made today a way I could hear His voice and harden not my heart. Because He made today, maybe I can look forward to what this day God has made it for and find out why He put me in it and allowed me to live one more day for His glory and not my own. Isn't that kind of a neat way to look at your life? Wouldn't you like to live your life different than what you've been living it? Living it according to what He wants and not what you want? Because no offense, I've had what I want. I don't want it anymore. Because I tasted it, I got tired of it, I put it aside, I forgot all about it. Matter of fact, once I got it, I realized I didn't want it as much as I thought I wanted it. But you know, everything that God has given me, I've tasted and seen that it is good. So for me in my house, I don't know about you and yours, but for me, I choose today to shut up, to put up my faith, to stop what I'm doing long enough to listen, to watch, to look, to be still, and to hear His voice. Especially watching for those times when He says, don't do that. Don't go there. Go here. Wait. Do this. Do that. How about you? Do you prefer, kind of like banging your head? Or do you prefer to walk steadily forward, step by step, watching and seeing how God reveals His will and His way? I have great challenges before me, and I'm kind of like amazed at how God provides. God always takes care of it, one way or another. I'm shocked every time by how He does it, because I've already got it figured out every other way He could do it, and every time I do, He brings a new way. And I'm blown away by it. I am totally shocked all the days of my life, because He has, one way, He's never done it the same way twice, and then the other thing is that He always seems to put a twist on it, some other new way to show me something more about Himself. And the one thing that He always shows me about Himself has been true all the days of my life. He has always shown me in everything I've gone through how much He loves me.